Hey, Snuggie. Hey, Scott, Mayor, Doug, John, Viper Mike, Jim. I think that's everybody. Audio is fluttering. Well, my air conditioner, I forgot to put the AC on. It's kind of warm in here. I was sitting on my couch watching Adam's show and not paying attention to the time. Hopefully, you guys could hear me. Hey, Zim. Alright, cool. I think my phone is right in front of me, so I'll try not to talk too loud. I think sometimes I overwhelm the microphone because it's literally like less than a foot away from my face, the camera, the way I do this. The camera is literally in front of me, so I'm like right behind my hands here. That's how I don't even know how I build these videos with these cars with this camera in the way. But somehow I look over it and I manage. So yes, Snuggie reached out to me and wanted me to do a little hop up on one of his. Actually, it's his wife, Diana. It is Diana, right, Snuggie? Her car. He said this is her car that she uses. And Snuggie had purchased one of my Vipers. So this is the car he sent me. Cool looking body. Looks like a J-Jap body. I'm gonna assume that's a J-Jap body. Stock Viper. V-Spec. Level 4 car. And what else? What else did I get in the box here? A dash chassis. He wanted me to try out. What dash chassis is this? Like what particular kind? Is there a model? It's obviously a AFX or Auto World hard body clip. Very simple, clean design. Looks like a pretty cool chassis. Looks like he sent me a body to put on it, so when I do some laps. What else do we have in this box, Snuggie? Stock parts. I guess he wants me to put the old part. He even sent me an envelope to put his used parts in. I'll make sure I send you back, Eric. Oh, and I even got a Snuggie's Slot Car Den sticker. Nice. Thank you. Another sticker for the collection. I'm gonna save this for another time, maybe tomorrow or something. I'll test this out, or we'll see. See how it goes tonight, how much time we have, how late it gets, how tired I get. Hey, Slightly Mad. Hey, Rookie. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the chat here. Hey, Mark. I missed a lot of comments. Well, I don't know about my audio. There really isn't much I could do about it. So hopefully it's good enough where you can hear me. All right. So, Snuggie had asked me to hop up this Viper. So, in anticipation of that, this is a 5.8 ohm hot stock armature from Rooster Racing, one of his Joker arms, which I have in quite a few of my Fusions. Definitely a good arm. This is a dual flange, one of my own bearings bushings that I was going to use if we use this arm. Snuggie wanted the max traction level 4 maxi traction magnets, so I got these from Hardin Creek. Viper independent front end. We wanted some of Stevens aluminum wheels, so I had already built a Viper. This is the same rear end that's in your car, so I'm going to be taking your rear end and you're going to get this one, and these are the hubs I took off of this other Viper rear end. And as we discussed in our email, I think the pink tires, these are Rooster Claw pink tires. I think those would look cool with that body. Hey, drama. No drama, I should say. Oh, that's right, Mayor. When are you leaving, Mayor? The mayor's going to be in my neck of the woods, but unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to hook up this time. So, let me put this. I'm going to open up Snuggie's spare stock parts bin, and I'm going to put these hubs in there. So there's our first stock parts. Get those out of the way. I'm gonna put these pink gel claws on. These are a good compound. They're like in between a medium and a firm, kind of a custom compound that Steven from Rooster Racing had developed. So it's good. It's good for both your routed tracks and also your home track, I think. Definitely a lot firmer than your stock medium tires that come on. Oh, wait a minute, this tire's no good. This tire has a cut in it. Hold on, we gotta get a different tire. That's annoying. All right, that one looks good. Hey, Rich. Hey, Steven. The gap, the wide gap armature, and I'm not an expert, but this gap is wider, and I guess it does something. I think it revs more, it gives you more RPMs, but the gap in between each stack is wider. Maybe somebody who knows more can comment on what that wider gap does. If not, I'll have to look it up myself. Okay, does the wider gap have like more top end and the closer gap has maybe more speed off the line or something like that? Like almost like changing your gearing? So this is not a wide gap armature, this is a standard. But this is a balanced epoxy. Yeah, the windings are epoxied on the little tabs to the comm plates. Sounds good enough to me, Scott. So, Snuggie, as I was telling you in our emails, because I did actually put, I'm going to take this body off. I did put your car on the dyno, and with this stock, Viper stock 6-ohm armature is no slouch. I mean, this is a pretty fast armature. Most of my stock Vipers run close to 4, if not above 4, on the dyno. So they're that's what I thought it was, Larry, but I'll have to research it again myself. But so this Viper was in neutral timing. And Snuggie, I don't know if you're aware because you didn't have this in advanced timing, but you could actually change the timing. One of the cool things about a Viper is you can actually retard the timing or advance it by pushing the end bell up or down. So this car in neutral timing was running around 370-ish. High 363, which is pretty common for most stock Viper V-specs. Most of mine are like this. I have an IROC set of V-specs. They all run in the 370 range, 380. but I usually advance the timing as well. And if you push the driver's side of the end belt down, so you can see that side sticking up and that side's down, you can advance the timing. You can see where, there it goes. We're already above 4. So this is a pretty fast car. I don't know how much we're going to gain by putting this hot stock armature in this car as far as performance on the dyno. It might not be much. So it's up to you if you want. This is a $20 armature, so it's up to you if you want me to put it in. I'll be happy to. I don't think the car needs it for a car you're gonna race around your home track and you know, not really race. I don't really. And I'll say this right now. I don't recommend guys run out and buy $20 hot stock armatures for their cars that they're just going to run around the track a little bit and not really race. These armatures are really made for club racing and, you know, getting every little bit of performance out of your car. Plus it's balanced, so hopefully it runs a little cooler and smoother. Because when you're running a race, you are running the car for a lot longer consistently, so the car gets hot. And don't get me wrong, if you want to hop up your car, have at it, you know. But I don't know that a car like this, which is already very fast, needs it. So it's your choice. If you want, I will be more than happy to put it in. Okay, so we'll leave the stock armature in there. I think that's a smart move. Yep, I'm reading your comments now. Okay, no problem. I can't guarantee I'll have this exact armature. I might use this for something else, but I always get armatures, so hot stock armatures, so no worries about that. So what we'll do to this car is we will leave it in advanced timing. We'll put the independent front end on, aluminum front end on. We'll swap out the rear end and we'll put the max traction magnets. Yeah, that will definitely make the car handle better. So that's nothing. We'll take off this O-ring front end. Put that in your little bag of stock parts. Oh, you know what I'll do for you? I'll pin this rear axle for you, so you don't have to worry about the axle popping out. I'm gonna put your stock tires in your little baggie here. Yeah, definitely, Scott. I agree. Yeah, Larry, the max traction magnets actually do make a difference, especially around the turns, because as the car as the car kind of kicks out a little bit around the turns, you have that wider stance on the magnet, so it helps it maintain contact to the rails a little bit longer than the stock magnet. So it's a decent little upgrade. I mean, these things are not cheap. They're $10 a pair, but the stock magnets are like $5 a pair, so they're like twice the price. But if you're going up against people who have the max traction magnets in a car and you don't, you're definitely at a disadvantage. Oops, sorry, just hit the camera. Trying to find a little container to put those magnets in. Alright, so I'm going to put your stock magnets in here. Put these in your little stock parts bin or envelope. And while we're on the subject of magnets, there is a high and low downforce. This came up the other night when we were talking with Scott. The Viper magnets are different polarities. So the face of this magnet and the face of this magnet that touch the rail are actually different polarities. And I know most of you guys know this, but you put the magnet that sticks to the side of the motor magnet on that side of the car, and Viper even puts a white mark so you know this goes on the white side of the Viper. And actually I was going to show you guys, but yeah, let me do it real quick. I'm going to put these stock magnets back in real quick in high downforce mode. Get in there. Put this front end back on for a minute. And actually, I'm going to put the stock wheels back on too. Sorry, should have did this first. So in high downforce mode, let's see what this car reads. Pretty respectable, like a 108, 109, somewhere around there. And if we flip them around and put them in low downforce mode, drop down to like 96. So yeah, almost like 15-point difference. It's a good little bit of downforce. So now sometimes you might have a reason where you want to put it in low downforce. If maybe you're in a race and your car is just maybe you have it a little too low and it's dragging or it's too strong and you don't have time to mess with tire height and stuff like that, you could actually put the car in low downforce, because as you can see, it's not a humongous difference, but so sometimes you might have a need to go in low downforce. These max traction magnets are already set up for high downforce, and they only go in one way, so you can't do low downforce with these. Viper has these designed because they flare out on that one side. You can't put the clip on there. You can only put the clip on the narrower end of the magnet. So you want to make sure you put them in like that. And let's see what these max traction magnets pull. What did we say? Well, like 109 on the other. 112, so not a huge difference, but it's more about the size of the magnet, because these are still Pro 4. They're hopper legal for Pro 4 class cars, so they can't be that much stronger than a regular level 4 Pro 4 magnet is. But that extra width is what gives you a little bit more downforce. And we're going to bring the car a little bit lower too, which is going to give us even more. We'll look at that when we're done. Hey, just one time. Correct, Scott. High downforce sticks to that side of the magnet. You put that magnet in that side of the car. If it repels the motor magnet and you put it in that side of the car that it's repelling, that would be low downforce. All right, so now we'll put all your spare parts back. Take this back off. Like, where's your traction magnets go? All right. So we've got our magnets in. we've got our 23 tooth Viper gear rear end with Stevens. These are four spoke tires, I believe. Yeah. Very cool. Oh wait, we wanted to pin this rear axle. So let me, let's do that real quick. Yeah, I discovered that too, Scott, because I remember when I first started working on Tyco, and I don't confess to be or think I'm a Tyco expert, but when I was working on my first 440, took one apart and was putting it back together, and I went to say, oh, I better check to see if it's high downforce, and I'm like, wait a minute, both these magnets are the same. So yeah, that kind of tricked me. All right, so when I drill out for pinning the axle, I use a 0.50 millimeter to start with, and then I follow it up with this 0.025 bit. This bit's a little too small. You can't get the pins in just using this size. But I like to start out with this. And I just use a little pin vise. Now, I'm going to do this under the light, so I'm really not going to show you guys this because I really have to pay attention to what I'm doing and make sure I keep the drill level, because it really annoys me when I don't do this right. Like if you go off the slightest little bit, then the pin could be touching the axle or angled in or angled out. So the Viper makes these little starting holes for you here to guide you, and you just you really want to make sure you keep the drill, level. Or I actually like to angle a tiny bit away from the axle, just to make sure it doesn't go towards the direction of the axle. That's how I do it. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to look under my light right now. So sorry I'm not doing it on camera, but I don't want to mess it up. So you can see that I've made it through the first hole, and that one looks pretty good. That's pretty straight. I'm happy with that. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, somebody actually makes a jig that you can set this in, and there's a hole, and you can literally, I forgot who it was. I gotta try and revisit that, because that would make this a lot easier, like foolproof. Perfect. Okay, good. I have successfully drilled the holes straight. Yeah, I've done quite a bit of them, so I've gotten better at it, but every now and then I still screw up one, and it annoys me. These tiny bits you could also break very easily, so when you're doing that, do not flex, or if you slightly tweak that bit, you're going to snap it off. I did that more than a few times in the early days as well. So that's why you can see one of these is already missing, and this is my second run of these these bits, and it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 of them. Well, I didn't break 10. The other kit had different sizes, and they were too big for what I needed, but I broke the small ones before I found this set of all the same size. This bit's even trickier and can break. It doesn't have that bigger base. But since I've already drilled the hole, I'm just going to be kind of following through with this little bit bigger bit. Obviously, you don't want to go through into the other side. You're just going through to cover the axle. So that's that. A power drill, Adam? I do have a dual power drill. So after I do that, I take a little tweezer and I like to pull out any of the little extra material from the drill. Oh, and by the way, in case you guys don't know, it's So I can get this stupid thing to focus. This opening here, my finger's making it go out of focus, but come on. So this opening has a purpose. If your axle gets loose, you can push this into the, inside to tighten up this gap a little bit. So that space actually does serve a purpose. You gotta be careful, you don't want to push too hard and actually break that little piece of plastic right there. But if you have an axle that's getting kind of loose, you can, or wobbling, you can actually tighten it up a little bit by using a little screwdriver, kind of bending that. Exactly, Pat. I'm gonna put this on because, man, I've poked myself with these tweezers. Are pretty darn sharp. Oh crap! Didn't mean to do that. Just dumped out all my axle pins. What is the mayor talking about? 24-hour butler. So I like to take these pins because they're flat, and I use like any kind of grinding stone, and I just like to put a little point on these. It helps make them go in easier. So I'm gonna do that back here, where I can, up here where I can see. These things can be a bit tight to get in at first. I usually try to get it started like that, then I'll just go over to a hard surface, kind of push it in, and boom, it's through the first opening. Just be careful, make sure you put straight pressure where you could bend the, I don't know if I could do it on this mat, but there we go. So that clicked in. That looks good. I'm definitely happy with that. But, if you learn how to do this yourself, Viper and Hardin Creek charge $5 to pin a rear axle, and if you learn how to do it yourself, you can save yourself $5, or you just don't pin your rear axle. But anybody who races knows how easily the axle can pop out on a good crash. All right. I am very happy with that. That came out good. And when you want to take the axle out, obviously you don't have to take these pins all the way out. Just pull them out past the first hole so you can get the axle out. Otherwise it's a pain in the butt trying to get them back in. But So that looks good. That's good. The tolerance looks good. The one thing about these max traction magnets, obviously they're wider, so they definitely come pretty close to the back of the hub, you know. But they're not touching. You can kind of see. I could probably pull this hub out a tiny bit. There's a little bit more space there than there is there. So I could fix that. And lastly, we'll put on this independent front end. I already put the one stopper on, and then you put the hub on, and you go through. I usually do this on a hard surface as well. I like to put the hub over the stopper and then just kind of put that on. And I'm going to go over to a hard surface here. Push that down. And there we go. And these are 345s, Snuggie. I actually didn't have any more 350s. I didn't realize I was out of 350s when I looked in my little holder for 350s. I could put 360s on it if you think 345s are going to be too low. But let me see how this looks on the setup block. Nah, I don't want to send them later. You could always order a set of 350s if you need them. You'll either get the 345s or 360s. They should be fine on your track. 360s might be better, actually. You can get these right from Viper. So. I'm going to see something here. 345s with 438s are actually a good combo. I mean, let's see if I can get some light over the subject here. Let's look at it on a lower setup block first. Yeah, that's pretty level with the 345. That's what you want to see. You want to see the front and the rear of the magnet have equal spacing. That looks pretty good. Though I don't know how high your highest rail height is. This is a 014 rail height, and you can see that's pretty close. It's not touching, so you should be okay on, even if your rails are up like zero. Some AFX tracks in Auto World are all over the place. They could be up to almost 020, definitely 017, 018 range. So I don't think this is going to be too bad for you, but you know, I can't get it perfect. You have to be the one to experiment with your tire heights. I'm going to send it as what I think is a good middle ground, and then you'll have to play around with the. So you want the 360s instead of the 345s? Or if you want to, I could add to the price of a set of 360s. I mean, it's only a couple of bucks. Yeah, these are 438s in the rear. Yeah. Let's see. This car is definitely legal. Goes right through. There's not a lot of play. I could try and pull out the one side, or I can kick this side in just a tiny smidge. Though you're not racing. I mean, I'd rather pull this side out because that is pretty close to the magnet. I don't want you to have to worry about the magnets hitting the. I ain't even gonna do that. It'll probably still fit in the block. It just has to come out a little tiny little bit. So. We didn't change the armature, Rob, but yeah, we looked at the dyno earlier. Okay, I'll send both. $360, $370 is kind of high for a Viper, even on a click track. I mean, Steven from Rooster Racing sends his cars with 340 in the front, and that's for your guys' click tracks, and he's sending 438s with 340 in the front. Yeah, he goes even lower. What was I gonna do? Let's see if I could pull this one hub out a tiny little bit. This one. Yeah, see now it doesn't fit in the block. They're pretty much the same distance now. It's up to you. Do you want me to make it fit in the block, or kind of just fits? I'd have to take each one in just a hair. All right, sounds good. All right, let's take a quick look at our downforce now. So, taking the car a little lower, now we're getting closer to 120, but we didn't go a ton lower than it was already at. So I could run it for a few laps around the track if you want me to. This is one of my Vipers, which is even lower, so it's probably going to be higher. But it has the same magnets. Yeah, see, when you bring the car down, I'm in the 130s with my car. But these are running, this is 428 in the rear. 428 or 430, somewhere around there. with 340 in the front. So, same. This happens to be that same Joker arm. But this car doesn't really perform much better than yours on the dyno with stock on. Hitting in the 420th range. So you can see the car has a little bit of a wobble to it. So it's not quite rock steady like a balanced arm is. I don't know if you guys can kind of see that the car has got a little bit of movement to it. But for a stock armature car, that's not bad at all, actually. Not a huge difference. So really not bad. Yeah. Well, the problem with these RPM purple tires is they only come in one size. So if you put these on a 250 hub, they come in at 418. So the car would be really low. I have these on 260 rear hubs, Viper hubs 250. But these are sized, most of the tires for like the performance world are rated on a 250 hub. So if they say they're 418s, that'll be on a 250 hub. And then if you go up to a 260, that would be, so if you're at 418, it'd be 428. I think that's what these tires are. But I have this pretty low. I mean, look at those marks. This thing it's actually too low. It's kind of riding the rails pretty good. Yeah, it's kind of at like a 430. I shouldn't say it's too low, but it's definitely is touching the rail in a few spots. My track does have a few high spots, so it's enough to put marks on the magnets, but I configure my cars for the most of my track is 012, so I usually see how the car looks at 012 and 014. Like if you look at this car on 014, it's probably going to be sitting on these higher rails. Yeah. This car is actually a little bit low in the front. I could probably put a little bit higher front tire in this car. It's hard to see on that rail, but some guys like to do a little bit lower or higher. They don't, but generally you want to try and get the car as level as possible. It's pretty close. But there's definitely space on 012. So on my track, this would be fine. Like I said, I have a few high spots that are like 014, so. Yeah, we'll take it for a spin. Yes, I got these from Viper. They have them in different colors too. and different sizes. At least they used to. I don't know if Viper still has these. Viper, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Viper has kind of gotten out of the performance realm. They're more gearing towards home track use. Um, Even the videos that Dan has been doing lately, nothing wrong with that. But I noticed when they sold their track business, they kind of shifted their focus a little bit, so to speak. At least that's how it looked to me. Their business model, I should say. I thought I saw a video posted about a 4 gear. Yeah. Oh, they don't, Larry? That's a bummer. I don't know why they wouldn't. I don't know. Is it really that costly to produce those setup blocks? Seems like a handy little thing that guys are always looking for. I could do some times of your stock car against this car if you want, just to see what kind of times, if there's much of a difference in the lap times that I could do with one car compared to the other. Obviously my car's lower too, so it might not be really a fair test. So if they were the same height, it'd be a different story, because they do have the same magnets. But I guess I could put this rear end in this car and try it, see what it does. That's an idea, actually. Yeah, that's a true point there, Rob. Definitely a lot more click tracks. Alex likes those tires. Which tires does he like? Does he like the colors, or you like the purple tire? All right, let me get the track going here. My track might be a little dirty. I haven't used it since the weekend, and it got some pretty good use over the weekend. So it's not like I haven't wiped it down or anything today. So if I de-slot, that's why. It's not my poor driving, it's dirty track. I'm set up on the blue lane, so we'll use the blue lane. Yeah, I'll clean your tires. Don't worry about that, Snuggie. Hey, we actually have the same bodies on these cars, so that's good. Oh, all right. So we're already under 3 seconds for a stock 6-ohm car. That's pretty. Anything under 3 seconds on my track is pretty good for a 6-ohm car. And there aren't many 6-ohm cars other than the Vipers. Some of my Super 7s I can do just under 3 seconds trying to push it. There's just the slightest faint little line in the traction magnet, so it's definitely going to probably get lines on your track, from your track. I'm going to assume you have higher rails than I do. We'll look at this other car now. Whoa. .286. This car definitely has more top end. It has more punch down the straightaway with this armature. So that was a 265. That's pretty fast. When you start getting close to 2.5 seconds, or anything under 2.5 is really fast on this track. 264. Yeah, I don't disagree. Some guys like to ride the rails, though. You want to get, you got to find that right compromise. I don't mind if it's just slightly touching the magnets, but if it's dragging too hard, then that's not good either. You're limited to the hub. So since this is an aluminum hub that's 250, I don't have any other tires. I have some albino tires. I could put 440. I think I have some 440 albinos. I could do that if you want, instead of the pink tires, if you think 438's too low. I'll have to look and see what I have. And you could always, like I said, order different size tires from Viper. Well, the albinos are a very firm tire, so they're, again, I don't think they were really designed with a home click track in mind. You might be better off with a softer compound tire on your track. Normally, you use a firmer tire if you have a higher downforce, like stronger magnet cars, you'll want to use a firmer tire because the strength of the magnet is going to push the car. You know, if you have too soft of a tire and a strong magnet, it's going to smush that tire down, so you want to use it. You could use them. I mean, I can't answer what's the perfect size tire. You have to figure that out for yourself on your track, unfortunately. All I could do is try and give you the best medium ground to start with. So I don't know. It's up to you, Snuggie. Whatever tires you want, I'll put them on there. The radius turn on my track is the same on both sides. This radius turn happens to be the same as that radius turn, so I like coming down the main straightaway into that bigger sweep turn down there. That's just me. But this radius is the same as that radius. At least this part of the turn. Obviously, this is a bigger radius around this way. That was a 295. Yeah, it looks like 2.9s is the best I can do with this setup right now. If I try to push it any more and get a faster time, it's going to de-slot. The armature doesn't feel very hot at all. Nice and smooth. I have albinos. It's up to you. I can just add them to. I mean, they're $4 a pair. The albinos aren't cheap, so you'll have to tack it onto your bill. But I do have them. So if you want me to send the different size albino in 440, I could do that. Super slow-mo camera. I'll be honest with you, I don't really know the degree of my turns. I mean, this is coming down the main straightaway, but, you know, from here to here, believe is the same radius as from, you know, here to here. But I'm not very good with the radius stuff, I'll admit. So yeah, so let me see if I can get some light in this picture here. So you can see just a very, very slight line, barely touching the magnets. So if this was going to be on my track, I would say I would go lower because the car would handle better. But on your track, this is probably not a bad setup to start with, the 438. I can include a set of 360 fronts and a set of 440. Let me see what size albinos I have in stock. And like I said, you can get all this from Viper, so if you need to go higher, I mean, you can just order some different tire heights from Viper. It looks like I have one pair of albino 440s left, so I can send you those. I have a ton of albino and 438. .440 is as big as I can go for you on the, well, I'll dig through some of these used tires. These are actually still usable. I might have some bigger sizes in there. If I could find a matching pair, I'll just send you those for free because those are used. Maybe I could find something a little taller than 440 if you think you want to go that high. I believe the Vipers come with a 444, somewhere between 440 and 444. Well, let's see. Let me put your stock tires back on the rim. Let's see what they were. I could put this rear axle in your car with the 444s and run some laps if you want. Go 440 times 2. Everybody's a jokester. Yeah, so these are bigger than 440s. Yeah, they're like, they're a little loose on 444. These are closer to 442. Yeah, 444, 442-ish range is what the stock ones are. Yeah, well, you could always put, if you want to put these medium compound 444s on, you could do that. I don't have any albinos in 444, so the best I could do for you is 440s if you want them. I would try it as is and see what you think. Um, did we ever look at this car on the dyno after we were done with it? I think bringing the car down and these stronger magnets has slowed it down a little bit. You have to take that into consideration too. No, one of the crashes bent your rear axle pin. I'm gonna have to straighten that, or I'll put a new one in for you. Yeah, that one got bent. They're pretty easy to bend. You can just bend them back with a plier, but they're not super strong, so they bend all the time. Yeah, the car is a little faster with these higher tires on it. You mean pink 438, not 448. Let me just straighten out this pin for you. Yeah, there was a noticeable difference in the speed in the hot stock armature car, but you know, like I said, if you're not racing, I don't know. I mean, this is obviously this car's not slow by any means, but you'll be able to compare it to the other car you bought from me that has a hot stock arm. You'll just have to work up to being able to replace that armature yourself, Snuggie. A stock Viper I think they're up to 49 bucks now just for the chassis, like 49.95. So basically $50. $50 gets you what I had here before I touched it, you know, with the stock level 4 magnets and this rear end and the Viper O-ring non-independent front end. To hop it up, you know, these magnets are 10 bucks a pair. The independent front end with tires is about another 10 bucks. It's like $7-8 just for the independent front end without the tires, and then the tires are like another $2 and change a pair. So it comes out to almost 10 bucks for the independent front end. These rims, depending on what you work out with Steven, could be anywhere upwards of $10 a pair. And these tires are like $3 to $4 a pair. So you're looking at 10, 20, 30, like $34 in parts here for this hop up on top of the 50 that you spent for the car. So now you're up to like $85 almost. Starts adding up. But they're a great running car that's gonna last for quite a while. So, and the brushes in these end bells, they last a pretty long time. One thing I usually do that most people recommend on the Viper, they send it with the pin one click away from the rear, but it's the general consensus with everybody that clicking that to the rear so it's more in line with the axle, or even if you can go behind the axle, it's even better for handling. So. Do you have extra pickup shoes, Snuggie? I could throw in another set or two of pickup shoes for you, so you have a couple extra pairs of pickup shoes. Pickup shoes do wear out, you know, fairly quickly, obviously depending on how much racing you do. I mean, I drive this car a lot, just messing around on my track, and I can't even tell you how many times I've changed these are fairly new though, so I must have changed them not too long ago. This car looks like this one. Actually, I didn't even look at what I do with my setup block. Yeah, you also want to look at how the pickup shoe is riding on the rail. That one looks pretty flat, but yeah, that one's off. This one's off a tiny bit. And you can see there isn't really. See, this pickup shoe has a good rail line. If I can get the camera to focus on that. It's got a good rail line through it. This one, the rail is not making a mark. It's a little more toe heavy than heel heavy. Normally I would just kind of pry this up a little bit. And you can see it when it's, yeah, see, just doing that, that looks pretty good now. Obviously you want the shoe to be as flat as possible on the rail, and you want to see a good line right across the shoe from the rail. you throw in, if I were to replace that armature, that would that would put this car up over $100 with all the extra parts that we have on it, and that's just the chassis without a body. It'd be like $105. So that's why I say, you don't need to rush out and replace all of your Viper armatures with hot stock armatures. It's fun if you want to do one car that way and see what it's all about, but this is going to be a fun car to drive on your track. It's going to be plenty fast enough. You see it, you could barely see it as it is. So. Clean these tires. All right. What do you think, Snuggie? So I'll send you this car as is with the extra pair of albinos at 440, and the other pair of pink ones that you were looking for your other car. So I'll shoot you a final cost, and you could use my email address for PayPal if you want. All right, so I got all your parts in here. Well, Mike, I actually priced out the bare chassis and building my own, and it's actually cheaper to buy a V-spec and actually replace parts, believe it or not. It's actually more expensive to buy all the individual parts, which I was surprised at, but I did it. I added everything up, and I was like, wait a minute, this is actually costing me more to buy the individual parts than just starting with a V-spec. And it depends on what you're doing. If you're building like a Neo car or something like that where you need a firm or stiff chassis, then you have no choice but to start from scratch. But a level 4 car with this medium chassis. This medium chassis is good all the way up to like even a level 10 car if you want. I know, right? That's how it was with computers back in the day. I used to build my own, I would pick out the case I wanted and the power supply and the motherboard and the video card. And I used to build my own custom computer, and it was cheaper. But then it got to the point where you can just buy a already done. Dude, you got a Dell. Remember those commercials? Whoa, I hit the camera again. Hey, Kenny. All right, I think we're done with this car. I think it looks pretty good. Looks good with those aluminum wheels, that's for sure. I think the pink tires look pretty. The white tires with this body would look cool too because it has white in it. So just be careful taking the tires off if you do swap them out. You don't want to tear them or chip them. So put this back in your case. I think this is how you had this with these little pieces of foam here. Snuggie's Viper. All right. Okay, so the Viper's back in. I'm gonna play around with this other car. I'll do another show on this dash chassis. We'll see what this is all about. Let's try and put this dash before I go. Let's try and put this dash chassis on the dyno. See what it'll do. Whoa! It bounced right off. Oops. I might have to hold it. So you can tell the difference between a Viper and a chassis like this. They're not in the same league, obviously. This thing's bouncing all over the place. But this is not bad. If I hold it still, this thing's hitting 360. Look, the tires are about to come off. The rear tires those are a little bit loose. Ooh, that armature got a little bit warm too, actually. I'm probably not meant to run that fast for that long. Are these the tires that came with it, or you put these on? That definitely was pretty quick. I have a feeling this thing's gonna buzz around the track. Hope I can keep it on the track. No, they look like they're the correct size for these hubs, actually. I mean, they're not super loose when I push them on, but they definitely were. I don't think this car is meant to be run on a dyno like that. It's probably abusing the poor little can motor. I'd be surprised if this thing's really rated for more than 12 volts, this motor. But I do like that you can oil the front and rear of this thing, and you could see the rear bushing pretty easily. Oh, and by the way, this car was drenched in oil. I don't know who oiled the rear axle, but I cleaned it off. It was soaking in oil. I mean, you can kind of still see. Look at all that oil. Gotta go light on the oil. You don't need a lot of oil when you oil your cars. It is a very simple design. I like. I like how they did it. I wonder how they get away with not having the circuit board to cut down on RF noise. Maybe because they're a smaller company, they're not worried about the FCC cracking down on them. I don't know. I mean, AFX, Roadmaster had no choice but to put that circuit board on the Mega G Plus. The FCC came down on the Mega G, saying there was too much RF noise. Yeah, it's true, not mass produced. But yeah, pretty clean looking, simple. I like the chrome wheels. Looks good, and for under $20. Ah, hell, you want me to put it on the track and run a few laps with it? Put this body on. This body is a little bit loose, but I'll try not to crash it too much. Well, then it came oiled from the factory with a lot of oil. I'm getting tired. I can feel it must be getting close to 10 o'clock. It's my bedtime. I'm going to turn into a pumpkin. But I was up at 5 in the morning. So. Wow, this thing's very smooth. Uh-oh. Don't look, Snuggie. I knocked the body off. Oopsie. Right, it definitely doesn't handle like a Viper. It's pretty sensitive. I got my sensitivity turned down to like 1.5. I think it's these little cam holders. It's got some good speed down the straightaway. So it's doing like a 4.6 second lap. If this thing had more downforce, I'd be able to do faster laps. not very forgiving coming into the main straightaway. If I take that turn even slightly too soon, it floats, it de-slots. Yeah. As soon as I try to push it, it breaks free. Magnets. But it's a very smooth running car. That's breaking it the hard way. Kenny's corner. No, I know you can't compare it to a Viper. Alright, let me wrap things up here. Get ready to go do my nighttime routine and brush my teeth and all that floss and everything we got to do. Yeah, I like this chassis. I could see it being fun, making IROC set. I'm always looking for different chassis to make IROC sets. That's why, Scott, if you're still on, I want to make that 440 times 2. I think that'll be a good. What do I have? I already have these two, and I'm going to use the two you're sending me. These are stock 440s, stock armature, stock magnets, stock traction magnets. I may, depending on how these run as an IROC set, I may order the Pro 4 motor and Pro 8 traction magnets if they're hard to handle in this stock configuration. When you do an IROC set, you want them to run pretty good and not be too hard for people to drive, especially if you're going to use them for beginners and stuff like that. But I think these cars handle pretty good even with the stock magnets, but we'll have to see. Better traction magnets? Yeah, okay. So you think I could get away with leaving the stock motor magnets and just do like the level 8 traction magnets? Anyway, I'll do some follow-ups on the Tyco set. But yeah, this is not a bad little chassis, especially for the money. can see where you pushed down the magnets are sticking out the bottom of the chassis. But yeah, these are, I think I already put some decent silicone tires on these two cars. These front tires are shot though. These are stock. These are things are pretty hard. I could feel it. Oh, this one has, I think, new. Yeah, this one has new front tires on it. This one I put new tires all the way around. And it looks like this one has the better, longer shoe and the little step shoe on this one. But I like these shoes the full contact shoes. This car runs pretty good actually. This has a Viper setup, Viper rear axle. This is a 3.5 ohm armature. This car is pretty quick actually. It's not as fast as the one you built, but it's not. This has level 4 Pro 4 motor and Pro 8 traction magnets in it. But yeah, you can definitely make that 440 times 2 a pretty good running little chassis. It's just a pain in the ass to work on. All right, guys, it's almost 10 o'clock. It's my bedtime. I'm going to clean up my mess here, put all my tools away. Snuggie, I'll shoot you an email, and I'll hold on to this for a few more days if you're okay with that. I'll just hold on to everything for a few more days, and it's up to you. I don't know how long it's going to take. If Adam does send me out that car tomorrow, I probably wouldn't get it till sometime close to the middle of next week. So if you want, I can just send you back the Viper and ship this separately if you really wanted to see me compare it to the amp chassis. Or I could just document the times that I could do with this car and then compare it to the amp. But okay, I'll do that. Thanks, Mike. You too, everybody. Have a good night, and we'll chat with everybody soon. Take care. Night, Mayor. Have a safe trip, Mayor.